Hi, we are live and it's another Wednesday afternoon. It's 1 p.m. and you know what time it is. It means that the Premier League is back. So for one weekend we had to contend with watching guys play for their country, but that's all done now. The World Cup is on the back burner and we are back. And this weekend is a fantastic weekend. And it's just nice that we start off with an absolute banger at the Etihad involving Manchester City and Liverpool. I'll be getting to Benjamin and Ketia in a bit. My name is Nathan Kwao. This is the Premier League Preview Show live on Facebook, live on City TV. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we open the discussions and we run all the way to 1:30. Hi, we're back as a Premier League Preview Show live on Facebook, live on City TV. My name is Nathan Kwao. And like I said earlier, when we appear, then you know that the party is back. The world's greatest show. And that's really what it is. Benjamin and Ketia is back. Ben, it's nice to see you.
Yeah, I'm feeling good in my Tottenham Hotspur jersey. A little bit of hurricane, a little bit of, you know.
London thing right here.
Exactly what's going down.
East London, North London. We'll see. We'll talk about West Ham in a bit then. But let's start off with the banger. And it's the round's biggest encounter at the Etihad involving Manchester City and Liverpool. Fans have loved this encounter because it's never dull when these two teams play.
Very true.
From about 2013 till now. What kind of game are we expecting? The two teams have played some carefree football every time they've met. Are we going to see the same pattern? Or one team is going to sit deep and try to break on the counter?
Well, I mean, the best part about this particular encounter at this stage in the season is the fact that unlike last season where both teams met when their seasons had been quite established, you get the sense that Manchester City are still settling down. Their new players that they brought in are still finding their groove with the entire squad.
Okay.
Liverpool don't have as many new assimilations to inculcate into their team, but they still are also working a couple of new guys. They are just fine-tuning the Jurgen Pressing system that Jurgen Klopp has adopted ever since he appeared. So, I mean, both teams are far from fully cooked as far as this season is concerned. So it gives you a sense of how the teams will perform when they are not at their optimal best. And I think that will give us the best of football, because sometimes when you meet, or when these teams meet at a time when they've been properly, ushered into the season, it tends to be a bit defensive. It tends to be a bit boring because both teams, the storylines have already been set going forward and they know what to expect from each other.
But aren't we risking an encounter that could turn out to be cagey? Because just like you established, the two teams are trying to understand where their season is going. It's only, 4 rounds?
Yeah.
This will be round number 4. So,
well, I mean, the good part
you
about
don't think that we'll have a close game?
Not really. The good part about these two teams is that I possibly cannot figure out Jurgen Klopp trying to play defensively. It's just not his thing. It doesn't work for him. Never. I mean, he's never really tried to play on the break, except when he's been totally forced by the tactics of the opponent manager, and that barely ever happens. I've seen him play against Pep Guardiola twice already since he arrived in the league, and both times
Liverpool have gone
full throttle. They've tried to take the initiative in the game right from the get-go, and I don't expect this to be any different. And again, this particular encounter will really lead us to know a lot more things about this Liverpool team. Yes, they did beat Arsenal emphatically, but we all know that Arsenal were a dog already down and Liverpool just had to trot on them. Now is a team that everybody views as a legit title contender, even though I have my own reservations. But again, they will be able to test their mettle. Mohamed Salah, good international break for Egypt coming into the game. Sadio Mane, also on the score sheet for Senegal.
Coming in. David Silva.
David Silva has also been brilliant.
Been
and funny enough, I mean, he's been barely recognizable with his new haircut.
Style haircut.
But of course, he probably might have enrolled with the monks during the off season, and that might have fueled his haircut. But again, he will be influential to how they play in that game. You mentioned the goal he scored for Spain in the international break. That will be key to what sort of confidence he will bring. But it will also be, most of all, a battle of tactics. Two managers who enjoy the attempt or the ability to go at each other and to outwit each other. Jurgen Klopp so far has a better head-to-head against Pep Guardiola, combined from Germany and also in the EPL so far. So Pep certainly will have a few things up his sleeve just to keep this battle interesting and to keep it
on the
even.
Manchester City side, I just want your thoughts on Kevin De Bruyne. This season he's played a bit more withdrawn, but I've been examining his performances, and it's interesting that he's not leading the attack, but even from deep, he's still constructing a lot of the things Manchester City are doing right this season. How well do you think he would thrive in that withdrawn position, or do you think he likes playing there, or do you think he wants to express himself? But like I said, even though he's playing deep, he's still making things happen.
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting that you appreciate what De Bruyne brings to the table, even in his withdrawn role. But I look at him this season and he looks disgruntled to me. He looks lost and he looks very indifferent, according to his body language. I just think that as a player, he would prefer a situation where the team handed him the reins and said, look, go out there and be that guy who created 20 plus assists for Wolfsburg before you landed in our team. He's not gotten the chance to do that so far. He's always had to contend with sharing playmaking responsibilities with the likes of David Silva. And I believe that from a tactical point of view, that restricts the spaces within which he can operate and within which he wants to do damage. And that doesn't help him as an individual because now he has to accommodate other people in his own game. And that's not beneficial to me. Again, I'm still sort of puzzled that at times Guardiola wants to play De Bruyne, he wants to play David Silva, he wants to play Bernardo Silva, all in one lineup and in one game. I do believe that if anything will be the undoing of Manchester City is one of two things. One, his defense not being able to live up to their big price tags, and also an over concentration of similar types of players up the final third of the pitch. I think that De Bruyne definitely is better running the show as a one-man with guys who can anchor and guys who can play the box-to-box behind him. This particular setup, I'm not too sure favors him. He might still be able to scrap decent assist numbers, but I don't think he can be the dominant force playing like this.
We'll see. So Kevin De Bruyne has got a point to prove. Like I said, my analysis still shows that he's running the show, but maybe you would all love to see him play further up the pitch, further close to the goal where he can do a bit more damage. So that's our banger for the weekend, Saturday at 11:30. And if you miss that, you're missing the world. Manchester City taking on Liverpool at the Etihad. Our second game, Ben, is another huge one. It involves the team whose kit you're wearing. It's Everton welcoming Spurs. And Spurs have had a very weird start to the season. It's not worked at Wembley, but they've picked up 1 point on the road, or 3 points on the road rather. One win, that was against Newcastle on match day 1. They go to Everton, who under Ronnie Koeman are hoping that this will be the year when they break out of Europa League football and see if they can get some Champions League football.
Well, believe it or not, Tottenham don't do well in the month of August, and it runs
in September now. Don't be happy.
and it runs concurrently with the poor form of their star striker Harry Kane, also in the month of August. So hopefully, removing the possible hoodoo of Wembley, this should be the official beginning of the season for Tottenham. And again, I've been impressed with the sort of last-minute transfer business they were able to do. I wasn't panicking when they sold Kyle Walker, even without bringing in a replacement. But I mean, the international break saw Kieran Trippier having to pull out from the England squad due to injury. And what would that have done coming into a game like this against Everton? Leaves you very, very exposed. Now,
so automatically throws Serge Aurier
right into his first EPL game. And I read a quote from Sky Sports about what he feels he can offer moving away from Paris Saint-Germain. And he mentioned the fact that he never really felt as if Paris Saint-Germain appreciated his talents fully as a footballer. He was always the guy on the edges, the guy who had to prove himself. But again, like I've been telling you, I think that Sergio Aurier is many upgrades on Kyle Walker. Anybody can cut my throat with a knife, but he's as strong as it gets for the fullback position. He's energetic. He can cross the ball. He has pace, and when he blocks out all the nonsense from the atmosphere, he is easily one of the best players on the pitch.
That is the key, the nonsense that surrounds Sergio Aurier, and he's somebody who Mauricio Pochettino will have to keep an extra eye on, because apart from him, there's no other player like him in this Spurs team, somebody who has a bit of an edge. Every other person is very calm,
grounded,
very cool,
and
grounded. Maybe Dele Alli comes close with his antics.
No, Dele Alli actually is his own man. I mean, he's been doing his own thing from last season. He's been involved in a few feisty encounters, red cards here, scuffles there. He's a bit of a hothead. I'm actually surprised how well he manages to keep his temperament in check just so he can see out games. But a game involving Mauricio Pochettino and Ronald Koeman will of course be one I will love to watch. Again, the tactics will be up for debates that who is the better tactician. The managers will be trying to outdo each other, but Everton have a few questions to answer about themselves as a team, even ahead of Tottenham. I mean, Tottenham, we all know that they've had a poor run of form. They've moved to a new stadium, but yes, they don't have to contend with the issues of trying to blend in 5-6 players into their lineup. Ronald Koeman has that now, and really, I mean, just the game before the international weekend, what were they doing playing Gylfi Sigurdsson out on the left wing? I really didn't understand what was going on, because Gylfi Sigurdsson has no pace. He has no real intention to cross the ball, even though he does have the technique to cross the ball. But we all know that he's better suited playing behind the striker or playing in central midfield, where he can be allowed to dictate the pace. And guess what? Our good friend Mohamed Besic, I've never been a fan of his play. He's been one of the worst defensive midfielders I've seen in the EPL. But in the last game when Everton were losing and he was thrown into the mix, he did show signs of a player who had matured. Now, we know that Everton are thin in the center of the park. So, Mohamed Besic is likely to be thrown in. That's if Ronald Koeman decides to go. Exactly, if he decides to go for steal. And I believe that he will want to prove to the manager that regardless of the new signings that have been brought in, I still was bought for big money and I still can prove a point. But in this game, I think that Tottenham might just have too much for Everton.
We'll see. Now, Spurs do have a fantastic record playing away from home. Already at home, at Wembley, their adopted ground, they've lost already, and that's beginning to throw a lot of doubt as to whether they can crack top 4 or even mount a possible title challenge. That's a very crucial question. Spurs fans, let's hear from you. How well do you think your team will do? But let's talk about the other 2 p.m. game that is attracting a lot of attention. It's Leicester City welcoming Chelsea. This game is significant because when Mourinho was in charge of Chelsea, it was the game that effectively ended his Chelsea life. Now, Antonio Conte has had problems getting a team together. He's managed to bring in players. It's about Costa. He brought in Danny Drinkwater, who plays against his former team. What do you think the break would have meant to Chelsea? And how are they going to start the new life after the break? They go to Leicester, who themselves are trying to put things together and see where they will end up this season.
I mean, it's interesting you should ask what the break means to Chelsea, because I felt as if, and like I've been saying on the show, I felt as if they were having a very chaotic opening to the start of the season, which culminated from the sort of pre-season they had. But again, I believe that they have put those issues behind them and have done transfer business that is supposedly credible. I'm not lending my seal of authenticity to Zappa Costa just yet, so I have seen him play an actual English Premier League match. But I believe that the noise around the club has sort of quietened down. They will possibly be expecting a fully fit and healthy Eden Hazard, which should be
for Belgium.
Yeah, exactly, which should be a big addition. It should be a big addition to their side. So for Chelsea, I think that again they are one of those clubs where they will view the month of September as the month when the league really begins for them. So they will want to get off on a high note. They will want to score as many goals as possible, and they showed us just what they were capable of doing before the international break came in. Ruthless performance, conceded no goals, and really saw the result. I think that they've come to the point where they need to be able to establish a certain level of dominance over teams like Leicester, just so they can put the fear of God in the rest of the other teams going into the rest of the season.
That they are not dead.
You do that quickly, and teams will come into games with the same level of respect. But I mean, if you started through the first couple of games, teams look at you with one eye and say, "Oh, you have lost some steam and some character from the championship winning season, and we can go at them." But again, I won't even talk too much about tactics because Antonio Conte has proven that once he finds his right mix, which is what he does best, he's good to go.
For Leicester, what's the plan? Because I think that they've walked into this game, they've lost Danny Drinkwater.
Yeah.
That's a huge loss because he was a regular. Now they need to rejig that central midfield. And there's Riyad Mahrez, who went AWOL, did a Houdini on everybody, reappeared in Algeria reportedly, but it looks like he will be featuring on the right-hand side for Leicester in this particular weekend. So how do they deal with Danny Drinkwater's absence? What are they going to do now?
Well, I mean, Drinkwater's absence will hopefully be clogged by Ndidi, and then hopefully this will spell the beginning of regular playtime for our own Danny Amate. But I'm not too sold on Amate whenever he plays in the center of midfield. I just feel that it's just trying to put square pegs in round holes. It really isn't his thing. He would rather be playing at centre back or at west, at right full back if he had.
Could it be the time Andy King walks back into midfield?
Andy King is a very average player, if you ask me, and the position is really up for grabs as far as himself and Danny Amate are concerned. So it will be interesting to see what Shakespeare does. But in the little I have seen since the Ranieri era, Leicester like to go long. They've gone back to the route one of Ranieri.
But that had Drinkwater at the center.
Exactly. I mean,
so they need to find
it will be important to notice if they can replace what he used to bring to the table, those 40, 30-yard passes that he used to bring in. I doubt it anyway, but it's something they can give. They can give a go. Plus, I'm looking to see them give Kelechi Iheanacho a real shot at the striker's position because they bought him for record money. He came down for the international break. He looked good for Nigeria. He's confident. He's raring to go. Give the lad a chance. And we all know that Leicester City as a club don't score a lot of goals. We all know Kelechi and his goals per minute ratio, the best in the Premier League from the previous season, give the Nigerian a go.
We'll see how that plays out. So maybe Leicester could be changing shape. They are known, or we know them to play a 4-4-2. Maybe this could be the time they switch things and maybe start to play something very different if they need to accommodate Kelechi Iheanacho, Jamie Vardy, and Shinji Okazaki all in one setup. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. But there are other games. Let me go through some of the messages there. And then we'll be taking a break. When we come back, we dissect all the other games. Very interesting Sunday for us. We'll talk about Stoke and Man United in a bit there. This one is from Amen James Bramwick says, good to see you in your jersey. This is nice. I'm in a West Ham jersey. Can you imagine that? West Ham.
Mauricio Pochettino reporting for duty.
Amani Muntalantango says, the West Ham jersey, okay, we are going to beat Stoke 3-1. That's a Man United fan. Esiama Boateng is watching from Cambodia. Wow. Phnom Penh in Cambodia.
Yeah.
Amazing. Keep watching every week. We'll be giving you massive shouts. Shout out to the people in Cambodia. Solomon Ahaja says Liverpool is going to beat Man City. Okay. Donald Cran says nice analysis. Thank you very much. Interesting thoughts from Samuel Darlington Omo Kape, saying that you don't need all this fancy equipment to have a TV station. All you need to do is have a Facebook page. You go live. That's what we are doing. We go live every Wednesday. It's as brilliant as having Tube TV. I'm telling you, nothing beats this. Patrick Ahija says Hazard is back. Hopefully Leicester will smell pepper. We hope so. Pa Eddie says Liverpool will beat City. Etihad is the second Anfield. Amani Muntala Tanko says, okay, we need a big station. Okay, all right. Kojo Tony says, you guys look good in your jerseys. Thank you very much. Next week, you never know what jersey I'll be in. Says United has been finding things difficult at the Britannia. Now the bet 365 says it's going to be 4-4. Okay. Edmond Lawson says Drinkwater will drink Leicester. Interesting one. The bet. Let's talk about our final game on Saturday. Then we go for a quick break. It's Stoke welcoming Manchester United. Now this game has always been interesting.
Yeah.
It's been close. When United have won, it's been close. When Stoke have won, it's been close. Stoke blitzed United 3-0. I remember a few Christmases ago under Louis van Gaal. But now United have started the season well. Last week we saw Leicester testing them.
Yeah. This
weekend they face a completely different test in Stoke, who have Jesse Rodriguez and are hoping to build some good momentum at home.
You know what? I'm beginning to get frustrated with Mark Hughes and his Stoke City team because it's been 4 seasons or 5 seasons, and he still doesn't have an identity. When they moved away from the defensive setup of Tony Pulis, at least we knew what to expect from Stoke City week in, week out. Now we don't know what to expect from Stoke City. I cannot tell if they are a passive team, if they are an aggressive team, if they are an attacking team, if they are a defensive team.
Could it not be the case of a manager who's trying to teach players to do some things they are not used to?
Well, if that's the case, then he has a very bad way of doing it, because he has done a very bad job of bringing players in, letting them leave after 1 year, sending them out on loan. There's just no stability with this Stoke City side, and really that's the problem for me. I don't expect Stoke to pose United a lot of problems on the day. They will try to look good on the surface, but United will have just too much quality. Not unless the international break has broken the momentum that they had before this game came around. But I mean, Stoke have not shown the sort of quality that will lead me into even trying to delve deep into my head to analyze why they will pose United problems.
You talk about Stoke's identity, and you make a great point about where Mark Hughes is taking them. Is it a matter of he not even understanding what he wants to do? Because every team he's managed, he's tried to let them play what we call football the right way, pass it around. And he has quality. He used to have a lot of it. He's moved on. There's still Shaqiri, he's had a Jesse Rodriguez, but it's really complex not seeing what he wants to do, because one half of his team is the old Tony Pulis side. Yeah. The other half is the team he's put together, and the marriage is all over the place.
Exactly my point. And you see, in football, there are very simple parameters by which you measure a manager. Again, a lot of people think that a manager's job, for instance, is to improve strikers. No, the game is too high at this level for managers to be improving strikers. Those things happen at the academy level. At worst, the manager will get you to work with the first team coaches if he sees that your technical and tactical understanding is way below what is expected. But again, Mark Hughes is expected to be a keeper of the vision for Stoke. Now, where's the vision for Stoke City? Are they trying to finish top 4? Are they trying to finish in the Europa League places? You just can't tell. They just don't seem like a team that has any goal.
Do you think they need a target? Do you think
I think they need to fire Mark Hughes.
Wow.
I think Stoke need to fire Mark Hughes. Sometimes people think that you need to fire a manager only when the team looks like they are going to relegate it. No. This team is going nowhere, and that's how teams that eventually begin the persistent struggles towards relegation. That's how they start. A team like Sunderland, a team like Sunderland, exactly how they started.
Like Swansea.
A team like Portsmouth in the past, exactly how they started. Leeds United, they all lost their identity along the way, and they started just existing. That's what I think Stoke City are doing. They are just existing. When they had Pulis, there was a point where he had managed survival so many times that he felt that, look, now it's time to make a push for the Europa League. I've never heard Mark Hughes say that before. I've never gotten the slightest inkling with his body language that that's what he wants to achieve. Stoke are just existing. That's not good enough for me. I expect Stoke to get pummeled by United, and if Mark Hughes doesn't improve things, he'll probably be looking at the wrong side of the table by the time the season is deeper.
Stoke City need to really change their direction, and we'll see what the chairman Peter Coates has got to say. When people at West Ham are already talking, should Stoke get into trouble, we'll see if they'll press the panic button. But let's just take a short break. When we come back, we look at the games on Sunday and on Monday, and I love those games because they are of teams of equal strength. And some of those matches tend to be the high flyers, the bangers, the chart stoppers, and the ones we keep talking about up until the end of the season. The Premier League Preview Show is live on Facebook, on City TV. We're taking a short break. When we come back, we do more talk, take your thoughts, and then we draw down the curtain. We are back. Premier League Preview Show live on Facebook, live on City TV. This is what we do every Wednesday at 1 p.m. It's a fantastic way to enjoy your lunch, have some data, and enjoy some top-notch Premier League analysis. Nathan Kwahe, Benjamin Nketiah is my wingman, as always. Last week, Ben, we were here giving away a prize.
Yes, I'm sure the young man enjoyed his.
We'll be giving away more prizes as the season goes along. Maybe we should be winning prizes too.
That's what we do here.
That's what we do. All right, let's talk about Burnley and Palace. That starts our Sunday coverage of at 12:30. Also live on 97.3 City FM, live on radio. Very interesting setup. Burnley and Palace. Now, last season, we'll be looking at Palace and say, that's the team to watch because they were managed by Sam Allardyce, and they were tough to break down and difficult to beat. But now under Frank de Boer, they look all over the place. Just like Stoke, they don't have a philosophy. De Boer wants them to do one thing, players want to do another thing, and Burnley look very ready to punish them for another time in another match day.
Well, I mean, I'm sure viewers have noticed that I haven't talked too much about tables and rankings and positions and whatnot because the league has not materialized to the point where some of these things have become cast in stone just yet. Everybody is still sort of finding their level, and I don't want to write off Frank de Boer yet, but if they lose this game, then he will...
Four straight losses.
Yes, he will edge very close to Slaven Bilic as the man who is probably next in line to be fired. But
you mean the manager of this team?
Exactly. But as things stand now, he still has some time to salvage some points for the team, basically because his employers expect that he's in a new environment, he has to acclimatize to the situation, he has to know players better, and he has to fine-tune the system they want to play with.
When do managers have to admit that I had a plan, but that plan needs to sit for a while and let me go with what already pertains? I ask that because the ball is trying to let these guys pass and play some stylish football, and they just don't have that kind of quality.
Well, let's say after 5 games, if you are a high-profile team, 10 games if you are a mid-level team like Crystal Palace. But I mean, it will depend. If you are losing 6 games on the trot, exactly, I mean, especially you have to do something about it. But if you are picking up draws on the way, I mean, games are slipping by the skin of their teeth, you know that you're actually getting somewhere. But in a situation where it's just a downward slide, then you need to arrest the situation midway. But for Crystal Palace, like you said, their players are suited to playing a long, direct, fast-paced style of football. The man is trying to bring in short passing, crisp, tiki-taka, stylish champagne type. It just won't work, especially against a team like Burnley. You don't even want to try such football because they are going to come in with the mentality of a destroyer. Kick whoever is on the ball.
Go long.
Close down, full throttle. Exactly my point. So, I mean, they just come in to wreck a game plan purposely like that of Frank de Boer. So he will look at this particular encounter as a possible game to carve out a blueprint for the EPL, because honestly, on a typical day, Burnley are the quintessential EPL team. On a typical day, that's the sort of team. That's the sort of team you are going to run into on a very, very regular EPL day. So for Frank de Boer, I think that, look, he's had enough time to have gone over his notes. He should have watched enough tape of his previous defeats by now. He should have seen the little tricks that really did his team in. Going up against a team like Burnley, I beg him. First thing to note, do not concede first. If they concede first in that game, it's over. Wow.
So that's the warning for Frank de Boer. Don't concede first at Turf Moor. It could be bad news. There's Swansea versus Newcastle. So we saw Christian Atsu play for Ghana. A few weeks ago, a few days ago, he was helping Newcastle beat Andre Ayew's West Ham. Now he's going to play against Jordan Ayew, who, according to Swansea, was supposed to have been in town today, I assume.
Exactly.
From
upset tummy.
From the upset tummy. That had social media going crazy. I'm sure you've seen that picture of him with the nurse, the cream crackers and series. Fantastic stuff by Jordan Ayew. And Ben, just on a lighter note, should he suit up for Swansea, I'm sure it will go crazy in Ghana.
I mean, I'm not a doctor and I typically don't know how long stomach upsets take to cure. But, I mean, that series and cream cracker should have done him some good. Definitely should have done him some good. Definitely should have put him at least in the manager's plans. As to if he will be good enough to go for the starting duration, I'm not too sure.
Clear, this game is the debut for Renato Sanchez.
Fantastic capture for Swansea. I mean, losing Gylfi Sigurdsson, I did not think for 1 second that they were going to get anybody close to his quality.
What is he going to add? Does he have the guile and skill of Sigurdsson, or he's just somebody to give them tempo?
He's just somebody who has found the right club to allow him to make the mistakes and to develop at the pace he wants. That's the first and foremost thing. Secondly, I believe that he will see a lot more of the ball, as in his ball usage will definitely be a lot more than we've seen with both Portugal and Benfica and also Bayern Munich. He will have a lot more time on the ball. It will give all of us a better picture of what he is fully as a player. But what I expect is a player who will not hesitate at the attempt to take shots outside the box. I've seen that from him. He looks like a guy who wants to get himself on the score sheet. He's eager to score.
Okay.
He's combative, so he will give you a little bit of everything. His passing is not world class or top notch yet, but he knows how to pass the ball. He knows how to shoot. He knows how to tackle, and he is a ball of energy. He will go for 90 minutes and then some if you allow him.
I think that Renato Sanchez will go back to Bayern Munich a better player than when he left. That's what I think. I think that exposure...
I think that by the time he will be done with Swansea, a couple more EPL teams might rival Bayern Munich for his signature.
We'll see about that. Monday night, that closes out our discussion. West Ham taking on Huddersfield. And one more bad result for West Ham, and it will be curtains.
It will be curtains for Slaven Bilic. I've seen all the support coming from the owners, but again...
That's usually the sign that there's something
exactly
wrong.
My point. It's the same owners who have gone around tweeting and visiting training grounds. The last game they lost, the owners were at the training grounds the next day, and that really is not a very good sign. They wanted to observe training for themselves. You know that when things like that begin to happen, the end really is near for you. Bilic, please, please, please find a winning formula, turn your season around.
He has to do that against David Wagner, very good friend of Jurgen Klopp. So we'll see what kind of football Huddersfield play. But Huddersfield do have some standout players. Their number one standout player, Steve Mounier, the Beninese forward, he's already scored in the opening weeks, and he will try and give that West Ham defense lots and lots and lots of problems. Let me go through the final bit of messages, and then we will be out of here. Kojo Tony. Okay, all right, interesting. Guys are having some banter here. Ayambila Azuma is watching us from Cote d'Ivoire. Thank you very much. Merci, merci, merci.
We've gone international.
We've gone international.
Cote d'Ivoire, Cambodia.
Cambodia. That's amazing. So keep watching every Wednesday. More thoughts coming in. Peter Paradise says, very good work, guys. Gives us a thumbs up and a clap and all these lovely emojis. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's been great. My name is Nathan Carl Benjamin. In case I was my wingman. So you saw us in our kits. Next week, you never know what jerseys will be in. We could be sporting the new Swansea jersey with Jordan Ayew at the back. Fit and ready after the cream crackers and series. That's our show for today. We catch you next week. Remember, the coverage is live on City 97.3. This weekend, we start Saturday morning at 11:30 through Sunday. There's Monday night football, West Ham and Huddersfield. That's the last game of the round. And on September 17th, there's a big one coming your way. Do stay tuned. That's our show. Thank you very much for watching. We are back next week. Show proudly brought to you by Betway, Slide Pay, and Premium Bank. Nathan Carr here. We're out for another week.
They'll go with a 4-4-2 diamond formation for that early lead.
An early goal will settle the nerves.
The away team has been in bad form. They will feel the pressure.
The home side's kept 2 clean sheets in a row.
It's all about momentum.
Who will have the stamina to last the 90 minutes?
The star striker is suspended.
They've got no kappa.
The marking will be tight.
This will be won or lost in the midfield.
This is why I bet.
This is why I bet.
This is why I bet. Betway, for the love of the game.
Inside the last minute of the opening 45 here. And, as we
Scores. 1. Who? Red. Red? Blue.
break. Oh, scores! What a way to finish the first half!
Scores. Halftime. Scores!